Today, we are diving into a book that might just completely flip how you think about wealth. It's called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and it argues that when it comes to your finances, what's in your head matters way more than what's in your bank account.
So let's start with a question. What if everything you've ever learned about money, all the spreadsheets, all the advice, all the expert opinions, wasn't the most important thing? What if the real driver behind your financial success wasn't your logic, or your education, or even how much you earn, but your feelings? That's the powerful and kind of scary idea we're digging into.
You see, Housel's big argument is that our emotions are in the driver's seat, especially with money, even when we swear we're being perfectly rational.
I mean, really think about it. You can have two people, same intelligence, same education, same access to all the same information online. One builds a fortune, the other loses everything. The difference isn't the data they had. So what is it? What's that hidden variable? And that leads us right to the core thesis of Morgan Housel's book. And it's one of those ideas that's so simple, it's actually profound. For as long as we can remember, we've been told that finance is a hard science, right? It's like physics. It's about numbers and formulas and spreadsheets. Well, Housel comes along and says, nope, forget all that. He argues that real lasting financial success is a soft skill. It has less to do with what you know and everything to do with how you behave, how you handle greed, how you manage fear, and how you deal with uncertainty.
We are all obsessed with the stuff on the left, aren't we? The math, the fancy degrees, crunching the data. But Hal's point is that the real magic, the stuff that actually moves the needle, is all on the right. It's your patience, your humility. It's your ability to not panic when everyone else is. That's the real superpower.
Okay, so if behavior is the king here, what actually shapes our behavior? Well, according to Housel, it all comes down to the unique financial world that each of us has personally experienced.
This is such a critical idea to absorb. I mean, think about that person you know who seems just reckless with their spending, or the one who's so frugal it seems almost painful. Housel says neither of them is crazy. Their decisions make perfect, logical sense to them because they're filtered through a lens of life experiences that only they have. Their reality is just fundamentally different from yours. Just imagine for a second, if you grew up with parents who lost everything in the Great Depression, you're going to view risk in a completely different way than someone who came of age during the dot-com boom in the 90s, right? And someone who saw their life savings get vaporized in 2008, they'll have a deep distrust of the system. None of these views are wrong. They're just born from completely different worlds.
Now, to really hammer this point home, Housel tells this incredible true story that captures his entire idea better than any chart or graph ever could.
Okay, so on one side, you've got Ronald Reed. He was a lifelong janitor and gas station attendant. No finance degree, no special training. On the other side, you have Richard Fuscone, Harvard-educated, a top executive at a major financial firm, a true Wall Street insider. I mean, based on their resumes, who would you bet on to be wealthier? It's not even a contest, right?
But when Ronald Reed, the janitor, passed away at 92, people discovered he had secretly amassed a fortune of $8 million. He did it by living frugally and patiently investing his savings in solid blue-chip stocks for decades.
And Richard Fuscone, the Harvard-educated executive, he used massive amounts of debt to fund a huge, lavish lifestyle. And when the 2008 financial crisis hit, he was wiped out, declared bankruptcy. The exact same market, two wildly different outcomes.
And there you have it. That's the punchline of the story, and it's the entire thesis of the book. Ronald Reed's simple behavior, his patience, his humility, was infinitely more powerful than all of Richard Fuscone's intelligence and credentials. So the story is powerful for sure, but the real question is, what can we do with this? How do we actually apply this wisdom to our own lives? Well, Housel gives us three really simple but incredibly powerful behavioral rules to live by. First, respect the massive roles that luck and risk play in everything. Not every success is a result of your genius, and not every failure is your fault. Second, and this one's huge, define what enough means to you. The modern world is a trap of constantly shifting goalposts, of always wanting more. Knowing your enough point is like having a superpower. And third, save money just for the sake of saving. No specific goal in mind. This unearmarked cash creates a buffer that buys you the most valuable thing of all: options, flexibility, and control over your own time.
You know, what makes this book so lasting is that these ideas, they're not just about finance. They really connect to a much bigger, much more timeless wisdom about just how to be a human being.
Housel is basically standing on the shoulders of giants here. I mean, you've got Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing, who said the investor's worst enemy is himself. You've got Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel laureate, who proved we are all systematically irrational when it comes to risk. And you can go all the way back to the ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, who taught that it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond. Housel is just applying this ancient wisdom to our bank accounts.
This forces us to completely reframe what we even think wealth is. It's not the new car, the fancy watch, the big house. That's just spending. Real wealth is the money you haven't spent. It's the assets in your portfolio working for you. It's financial freedom.
And this is such a crucial distinction. Getting money often requires taking big risks, being optimistic, putting yourself out there. But keeping money, that requires the total opposite set of skills: humility, a bit of fear, and the constant awareness that the money you've made can disappear just as fast as it came. So when you boil this all down, the ultimate lesson from this book isn't some hot stock tip or a fancy new budgeting app. The path to building real, lasting wealth isn't found out there in the market. It's an internal journey. It's about looking in the mirror and understanding your own biases, your own fears, and your own personal history with money.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. As you go through this book, you quickly realize the subject isn't charts or interest rates or the economy. The subject is you. It's your behavior, your mindset, your complicated relationship with greed and fear. And the moment you realize that, well, that's when everything changes.